Hey guys, it's FromSoftware here. Welcome back to Vth Bits, a tips, tricks, and guide video series on 5th Gen Armored Core. At the request of a community member, this video covers general 1v1 situations on Ratona Naval Port. Please note that this video will discuss the duel version of the map and not the Battle Royale or Team Battle version. A port located in the Middle East, the Ratona Naval Port is one of many locations affected by the change in climate in Armored Core Verdict Day. All the water in this area has completely dried up, leaving the boats moored here permanently stranded. As a PvP map, it consists of a dried up seabed littered with ships, destroyed towers, and fuel tanks. Around the center is a platform consisting of a fueling silo and 2 cranes along with more fuel tanks and small buildings. The general layout makes it difficult for many builds to function effectively, and chances are you'll find yourself focusing on specific areas of the map to get the advantage. More often than not, this means you'll be fighting over the fuel silo, that large circular building in the middle of the map. Its size and location on the map means that having control of this small piece of land gives you the most number of options and greatly limits what your opponent can do. And there's a few reasons for this, first of which is that it gives you the high ground. You can see what the opponent is doing, where they're going, and what they may try to do at pretty much all times. While the overall platform has a depressed area around it, it's hard for the opponent to be able to sneak up on you. This also gives you plenty of time to plan and counteract as needed. The crane, despite being about the same size and not too far away, is not as useful a position as the silo because of number 2, its size and shape. The silo is wide enough to give players the ability to park on top and glide boost, while also being large enough to where it can be used to wall jump and take cover from the opponent. In comparison, the crane doesn't offer these advantages due to its leaner profile. It also doesn't help that it puts you in a vulnerable position since it's not as easy to get up it or stay on top of it while you're being shot at. Third, it gives you the ability to dictate the flow of the match. If you can maintain control over the silo, the opponent is forced to play around you. Attacking the spot is difficult because you'll almost always be at a disadvantage positionally, and getting close is hard because there isn't really a good way to do it. Every other spot is low-lying, too far, or difficult to traverse without being attacked. Basically, any approach will almost always be a gamble. So now let's talk about leg types, movement, and positioning. The first step in most matches, no matter which side you start on, is to get to the silo as soon as possible. Since you won't always know what leg type or build the opponent will bring, you want to try to prevent the opponent from starting the match by controlling the single most advantageous position point on the map. Lighter units, like light bipeds and some light reverse joints / mid bipeds, will usually want to control the sides of the silo, where they can maximize their mobility both offensively and defensively. The size of the silo offers excellent cover from incoming fire and allows them to wall jump with few other units being able to challenge them due to a lack of good cover or glide boost points. This will often be the MO of light units, weaving in and around the silo to slowly whittle the enemy or find a quick opening that will net them big damage. As a heavier unit, like middle and heavy bipeds, you'll generally want to stick around the top. Since wall jumping is less effective with only 1 or 2 buildings or wall jumpable points, and high boost is overall less effective for chasing, glide boosting will be your main tool in most scenarios. Its flexibility, along with heavier units' better defenses and access to a wider arsenal, means that they can catch up to other units for short periods of time, and force a trade or damage race. As a bonus, the top of the silo also has a little thingy that you can use to take cover and recover energy as needed. For quads and heavy reverse joints, aka floaty units, which can gain height easily, camping above the silo is a strong move, as that extra bit of height makes it much harder for other units to use cover or catch them. They focus more on a hyper-defensive playstyle, making the opponent approach them and backing off as much as possible. High boost is your friend here, as you'll probably spend a lot of time backpedaling and hovering at the top. Certain light reverse joints will fall under this category as well, mainly under blading as they gain height to get an optimal position to punch you in the face. For tanks on the other hand, it's a much more difficult matter. Because most of the map focuses on the silo, you need to be able to get up there. Since only a small handful of tank legs can get up there, you need to prioritize whatever vertical mobility you can while still having decent defenses and firepower. Your main goal then is to stay on that tower and never ever give it up. While it won't always be fatal if you fall off, expect to take a lot of damage as you fight from a lot of weaker positions. Now, what happens when you pit these builds against each other? To boil it down, this map focuses on two things to determine who wins. Preventing your opponent from gaining height advantage over you, usually by controlling the fueling silo, and how much AP you have to work with. Lightweights have the lowest AP on average, and spend most of their time looking for openings to either wrestle control of the silo, or whittle down opponents to where they no longer have AP lead, forcing them to go on the offensive. You'll often need to switch back and forth very quickly between attack and defense as openings come and go, and being able to wiggle your way out of a bad situation with good movements will go a long way to keeping you alive. Light versus light interactions are interesting in that they're one of the few matchups where the fighting doesn't have to take place at the silo all the time. Because both sides are so quick, they can dip in and out of what little cover there is and make it work. It also helps that most of the time they won't have weapons that will allow them to damage race, and so they'll focus more on burst damage, which are quick and short interactions rather than long and drawn out. Matches against heavy units are dependent on closing the AP gap and using cover as much as possible to mitigate damage. Force the opponent to give chase. They'll expend energy until they're out, which is the optimal time to strike as a lightweight. Heavyweights focus on a defensive style of play, conserving AP and energy as much as possible by minimizing encounters, and looking for moments to overtake the opponent. Control of the top of the silo is usually key, but always recognize when to fall back to the sides to avoid taking unnecessary damage. This is particularly important since having an AP lead plays a big role in how they need to approach a matchup. Against lighter units, they need to constantly look for moments to initiate the attack. This can be preemptively challenging a move, like wall jumping in the same direction or a little earlier to put them within attacking range. Or wall jumping back or away to force the lighter unit to overextend, expend energy, or be out of range of cover. Or glide boosting to approach from a failed attack on their end or take advantage of bad positioning on the opponent's part. Against heavier and floaty units, they have some leeway and are able to fight more on the sides as needed, although glide boost is still their main approach tool. They typically want to fight to keep other heavy units from gaining control of the top or floating around that area. Floaty units have a much easier time and have a wait-and-see approach. Most of the time, these units will have high AP and take a step back whenever the opponent tries to chase them down, leaving them open to a barrage of fire. Lightweights can be tricky as they are able to easily close distance and then back off, and heavier units will have weapons that can and will smash through their armor, so maintaining distance plays a strong role in their success. Tanks play like a much worse heavy, and must either fight on top or the bottom. Their main saving grace is the array of cannon weapons give them the potential to shred opponents apart with only one opening. Because of this, they do fairly well against heavies and floaties, but have a hell of a time against lights, which can easily run circles around them. And I can go on practically forever, but that's it for this 5th Bits on Ratona Naval Port Duel overview. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about specific matchups or build configurations on this map, stuff I didn't cover, or even just your thoughts on how to play on it and what works for you. If you enjoy this content, be sure to like and or subscribe. It's how I know I'm doing good and keeps me going. If there's anyone out there you know starting out on this game, be sure to show this vid to them and help them be just a little bit more prepared. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.